Hi everyone, thanks for downloading and listening to the third edition or the third episode of InCorp Group's Pro Business podcast series. I am Eric here, the Chief Business Development Officer of the group, and I have my partner in crime and colleague, Elton, who is our Deputy COO with me today as well.
Time flies, Eric. We are at the third episode already. So what are we going to talk about today? We will be sharing and discussing about the fast-growing segment in Singapore, one of the key segments that the government has identified, which is the fund management and wealth management space. And we will cover today several key info and insights into this industry that will help potential fund managers or fund management firms, as well as high net worth families and investors to come into Singapore.
That's right, Elton. Maybe some facts and figures to set the tone of the fund management space in Singapore. So as everybody would know, I'll dial in today, located in the heart of fast-growing Asia, right? Singapore has positioned itself over the last 10 years as a developed pan-Asia asset management center with a conducive environment for asset and all fund managers and asset owners of high net worth families to locate and hub their investment activities in the country. Over the last 5 years, right, the industry's asset under management, or AUM as the industry term we have called it, expanded at a 14% compounded annual growth rate, or CAGR, over the last 5 years. So I think these are impressive figures for everybody's reference out there. Yeah, especially in 2019, total AUM managed by Singapore-based fund and asset managers. This figure is estimated to hit 4 trillion Sing dollars in 2019, which is a 16% growth year on year. And we foresee this figure to grow by a minimum of 10% annually for the next 2 to 3 years. So in addition to position Singapore as a leading fund domiciliation hub, the Singapore government has also launched the new Variable Capital Companies, or VCC, framework in January 2020 to provide a new corporate structure for investment funds, which seeks to facilitate the co-location of the fund managers, fund management and domiciliation activities in Singapore. So this is also very clear-cut that the government is trying to compete, I would say, Elton,
Yes,
with popular fund jurisdictions such as the Cayman as well as Luxembourg, for example.
Yeah, Eric, thanks for sharing. And I think we were part of the initial discussion with many of the government agencies when the VCC framework was rolled out. So I also want to add on to say that we have always been able to achieve this regional wealth management hub status because of several key regions that Singapore has. Number one, we do have very strong regulations as well as legal framework set out by a very stable and capable government. And I think political stability has always been one of the key factors why businesses choose to locate in Singapore. Secondly, we also have a very favorable corporate tax regime as well as fund tax incentive schemes that fund managers and family offices can avail themselves of, such as the 13H and the 13X fund management scheme.
13R and 13X.
Oh, 13R and 13X. As well as the large number of banking institutions and asset managers basing their Asia HQ out of Singapore, focusing on a wide range of fund types, which includes venture capital, PE, EAM, hedge funds, real estate funds, etc.
So I think by now the audience would, we shared a lot of facts and figures,
Yes.
right? It may be a bit overwhelming, but I guess why we want to share all this is it's important for everyone who's listening in today to understand how big the industry is in Singapore and why so many funds, so many family offices, so many big banks of the world have located their operations and fund management activities out of Singapore. So I guess we should now talk a little bit about the regulations of how you want to set up a fund management or asset management company in Singapore. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, or MAS, is actually the central governing body for fund and asset managers who wish to engage in the business of fund management in the country. So there are essentially three main types of licenses or fund licenses available in Singapore, namely the Venture Capital Fund Management, or VCFM, the second one, which is the Registered Fund Management Company, or RFMC, and the third license will be what we call the Capital Market Services License, or CMS license. So depending on the type of fund you're looking to set up and the type of investors you're looking to target, be it the institutional investors, be it the accredited investors, or be it the retail investors, mums and pups of the country, you will choose between the either types or the types of the three fund licenses that are available in Singapore. So post setting up of the company and obtaining the relevant license to operate, your company should look to set up its fund vehicles in Singapore as well. As earlier shared by us, right, besides the traditional offshore tax haven jurisdictions where many fund managers of the world would like to set up their fund vehicles in, the Singapore has the VCC regime, or the Variable Capital Company Scheme, of which is introduced by the government this year. The take-up rate has been tremendous, Elton. We started the year with only 20 pilot names. As of December, right, this figure has grown by 6x from the base of 20. So in that sense, we can see that in the fund space, right, fund managers are looking to set up their fund vehicles using the VCC regime in Singapore because of the flexibilities as well as the benefits that it can bring. So maybe, Elton, we can share a little bit about what are some of the latest trends on why funds of the world or investors of the world will want to put their money in Singapore.
Yeah, I think what Eric has mentioned earlier actually encapsulates basically the different regimes that we have, the different types of licenses that our central bank is able to give out. But having said that, all right, there are some of the key trends that we would like to share with you on why the Asia-Pac region, in particular Singapore, has been one of the key business centers that our asset managers would like to set up their base here in Singapore. Firstly, assets invested in Southeast Asia grew by 22% in 2019, which is up from 2018's of 0.4%. Some of the key areas of investment, which includes your sustainable or ESG investments, despite the dampening impact of COVID-19 on investment sentiment, global net inflows into sustainable funds was $71.1 billion in the second quarter of 2020, which is a remarkable 72% increase compared to the previous quarter. In the PE and VC space, all right, the industry has registered a strong momentum in recent years. So Eric, you might know that especially the AUM has increased quite tremendously by 36%, and we are now reaching about US 1.2 trillion in 2019, with Asia Pac accounting for a quarter of the global PE and VC market. The sustained growth in both of this space actually points to promising opportunities in private markets, and Singapore serves as a natural gateway to the region's private market opportunities, and we will continue and expected to register strong growth in the coming years ahead.
Oh, definitely. I guess for investors as well as fund managers of the world out there, why you want to use Singapore as a springboard or the springboard to set up your fund, I think the reason is very simple, as what some of the figures and facts that Elton has shared. I mean, because APAC as a country of growth is such a big, fast-growing economy or region. There are a lot of well-known companies who are looking for PE money. There are a lot of promising tech companies who are looking for VC and PE money. So over the data that we have seen, right, large bulk of the AUM growth in Asia Pacific at $1.2 trillion in 2019, for example, will continue to be the main growth story for the rest of the world. So if you are a fund manager or investor, right, and you want to look at investing or tapping into this fast-growing region of the world, Singapore will give you the perfect, I will say again, the springboard and the platform for you to set up as well as get in touch into potential investment opportunities in this part of the world. And at this, I would say, Elton, in Singapore, in the recent 1 year, has suddenly become the super ideal place in APAC to set up or to invest money to, because of the ongoing Hong Kong and China issues, which I think makes a lot of investors and fund managers who traditionally would prefer Hong Kong as a place to set up and invest through their vehicles. They are increasingly looking to, in a way, divert away from Hong Kong. Elton, what do you think?
Yes, I think that is especially true. Especially, I think recently, I think both of us have been involved in quite a number of calls. All right, especially talking about Hong Kong companies as well as families, offices moving into the Singapore space. And I think this is definitely very exciting for us, all right, especially for fund and asset managers around the world to consider setting up in Singapore to focus on Asia Pacific centric investments. And InCorp is actually well placed to provide you with the structuring, tax advisory, accounting, and HR needs to have you set up all these different structures in Singapore. And as Eric has mentioned earlier, all right, we are one of the forerunners in this space, and we will continue to be working very closely with the government agencies, giving you the appropriate advice and holding your hand through the entire application process, all the way to getting your compliance needs settled so that you can focus on your main business.
Definitely. So we have a lot of experience in helping fund managers set up. For fund managers, the key thing will be in terms of how you structure the fund.
Yeah.
Right. I think this is something that will be very useful, and we have a lot of experience in working with fund managers based in Singapore. We also have a lot of experience in advising high net worth families who want to set up their single family offices in Singapore, again because they are putting their money into a AAA rated country with a very stable government. So again, for single family offices, the key thing for high net worth families is to understand the structure.
Yeah.
What is the best structure for them to set up depending on the family's needs and objectives. So again, this is something we have a lot of experience in, especially again for the last 1 year.
Of course.
So I guess we have spoken a lot today already, but that's all for our third episode. For more information, you can drop us an email or visit our website at www.incorp.asia. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you like the content that we heard today, please share the podcast with your friends and tell them about it. And in the meantime, stay tuned for our next episode, and we are going to share a lot of new exciting content about Singapore as a whole. And then, yes, so again, thanks everyone, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, and see you all soon.